get confused when they see their attorneys leaving the courtroom, and then they see the attorneys from different sides high-fiving and going to grab a coffee. I don't believe it's true, and I don't think it's productive to hold on to that notion. I actually think it can impede your growth if you hold on to that.
Hello everybody, welcome to The Journey. It's me, Kafana Sudubani, your host, and I am here with Ipeleng Kumwenda. We're going to have a conversation about all things law, all things student matters, and everything that is important to you as a law-abiding citizen, I hope. So don't talk to me, talk to my lawyer. Ipeleng, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing, Kafana?
Great, thank you.
Thank you for having me, first of all.
Sure.
I'm here as, well, first of all, I do love talking about student-related matters. I'm founder director of Kumwenda Attorneys Inc.
Yes.
But you know, in running the firm and assisting clients, my heart and my passion is also in assisting students or anyone else, even if you're not a student, but looking into law, to ease you into what was difficult for me.
Sure.
Give a cheat sheet sort of thing. That's who I am, that's what I'm about, that's what I love doing.
Interesting. What was the defining moment for you to say, you know what, I'm going to start my own firm?
I can't remember the date. There's a date, but I was working, before I started the firm, I was working for a UK commercial firm. They specialize in commercial law, which is what I do, what I love, contracts, negotiation, all that stuff.
Nice.
So I was there for quite a bit of time. I learned quite a lot, but I kind of found that I got to a point where I wanted to try out different things. Maybe dealing with a different client or dealing with a different kind of negotiation or a different kind of deal. But obviously within a company, obviously, you know, when you work for someone, it's like their house. That's what my parents used to tell me. You walk into someone's house, they tell you, you keep the shoes here, please hang your coat over there. Such another's house. Which is perfectly fine and how things should work. But I found that in areas that I wanted to try out and grow, I couldn't do that. And the reasons were justified for that, but I didn't have a say in, listen, I want to try this out. I feel like I've exhausted this bit. So those limitations. So in starting out the firm, it was a discussion. Obviously it's a big move. I'm married, so there's married in community of property.
Ooh, interesting. We're going to talk about that.
Is that eventually going to be a chat?
Yeah.
So I'm married in community of property. So obviously, if I'm going to be resigning, and it was a well-paying job.
Sure.
If I'm resigning to start a company, that's high risk.
Very high.
It's high risk for a relationship in terms of first of all, the vibes between you and your partner.
Yeah.
If the money is low, the vibes are low.
Very true.
But also, it's going to impact the finances as well, the regime. If I go insolvent, if anything happens, it's going to affect my husband.
Yeah.
So we need to have that discussion. Are we willing to take the risk? Do you trust me enough to take this risk? Is the conversation. So I told him that, listen, I actually don't want to resign here and move here. I actually don't want to move anywhere. I want to start something. I want to see what I can do. Let me see what I can do.
Yeah.
So that was a conversation that it was just a particular day where I was just like, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to try out certain things to see how far my wingspan can go. What can I really do? I'll never know what I can really do if I'm employed.
Yeah.
I'll never know.
You never discover your full potential, as it were.
Not at all.
Interesting that you mentioned that, and you've already opened a whole other can of worms for those legal professionals out there who are thinking, what's happening in terms of those contracts? Because most of them would want to protect themselves first if they're going to be in business and things like that, and obviously protect their partner eventually. But I want to touch on now your journey growing up. Then, okay, this is going to be weird because I kind of saw some parts of you growing up because, you know, vibes, parents, and things.
You make it sound like you're older than me when you say you saw some parts of me growing up.
No, not at all.
It's established. Papa is younger than me, okay?
Yes, guys.
I watched you growing up first.
Yes. So Ipeleng is my sister, for those who may wonder. So what led you to law? Because I know you when you were younger. I just saw a sister, yes, and you. I don't think you were the argumentative type. That's my feeling. So what led you to law?
It is true, you and I have never fought, we never got into arguments, but what led me into law, to be honest, it was around, I'd say grade 10. So I grew up, my family is straight. So
All of us.
my family is straight. My dad is very strict with education of his husband. So actually how it came about is the marks came in, your marks, the report card comes in, and you have those discussions. And my dad just kind of picked up this, and you seem to be really strong with your English and history. My dad was very observant of those things. He monitored those things from primary school through high school, and like you're actually really strong in this stuff. We explored different careers. First of all, he had me thinking about careers from around grade 10.
Okay.
And when you're in high school, you're not thinking beyond high school at all. You're just trying to get through the week. You're not thinking about university and what's after university, but my dad required me to think of that at that stage. And he took the time to identify which subjects he's seen that I'm strong in, that I hadn't even noticed myself. I'm just trying to get through and not get into trouble and fail.
Sure.
So he told me, listen, you seem to be consistently strong in these subjects. There's this, and then law came up as well. And then he said, but I really feel like law could be good for you.
Sure.
And on the argumentative side as well.
Yeah.
I want to just chat about that because interestingly, I know it's definitely, it's a stereotype for a reason.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of truth in stereotypes. That's why it's a stereotype, right? Growing up, yes, I was definitely never argumentative.
Yeah.
What I was though was critical, chatty. I don't take anything at face value. If you tell me something, we're going to have a nice conversation, but I'm going to ask you why. I'm going to ask you to support why you think that is. I'm going to ask you where you got that from. I'm going to ask where that person got it from and why they think so. Why are you influenced by that? And I'll ask you a lot of things. So in our different spaces, because my specialty is commercial.
Yes.
So in that space, obviously we're not, actually in any space, to be honest with you, even with what you guys see in court.
Yes.
Because that's litigation now. Litigation is court.
Yeah.
Even with what you guys see in court, I think there's a view there, because obviously we have to put arguments to the judge. But arguments is not in the sense that of fighting. It's really let the best man win with the best version of events.
I mean, also in court, they do call you out for being argumentative.
100%.
Which is kind of
100%.
But yeah.
That's one of those things. Yes, you can't be malicious. You need to watch how you talk. You need to be respectful. So it's really putting the best argument forward, and we have to, in whatever area of law you're practicing. In commercial, if I've drafted something and counterparty doesn't like the wording, or they want to dispute something, then we hop on a call and then we negotiate the clause.
Sure.
So that's going back and forth and saying, no, this is not market standard. Actually, this is, no, this ambit is too wide. So the argument is really just the capacity to think and reason and come to a compromise is really what it is. So people also get confused when they see their attorneys leaving the courtroom and then they see the attorneys for different sides high-fiving and going to grab a coffee. And clients then feel betrayed. They're like, oh, I thought, And it's like, there's no like bad vibes within the profession, like amongst us as colleagues, in the argumentative sense. We're not fighting each other. We're just doing our job and putting the best thing forward. But we're all still mates. Once you leave the courtroom and you leave the negotiation, I mean.
Interesting. So you mentioned something there about your dad kind of monitoring your progress and kind of also showing you your strengths and things like that. I think there's a view that fathers nowadays don't do enough for their kids. Obviously, you have the privilege of having stayed with your dad, and I do too, But I also do think that their role has been underplayed in terms of them preparing you for the real world, as should be their role, in my view. Most people think maybe they were not nurturing enough, maybe they were not a cushion or whatever the case may be. Maybe they just, kind of threw you off the cliff in a way. And you learn how to fly. So how do you think your father kind of shaped that father-daughter relationship? Because I know you have a brilliant one.
Yes, Dad is my bestie.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're saying is absolutely true. Also true of mothers. I just want to say, also true of mothers. I've seen, I think, having been in the field longer, I've also seen a lot of those characteristics with women as well, where that innate motherly instinct we think should be there or presume is there, is in fact not there. But to answer your question, the first thing my dad, first of all, always did was, my dad also comes from a father who took education very seriously, so he's implementing what he was taught, a little bit more at an extreme level, but he's implementing what his dad taught him. So my dad also, I think, most importantly, outside of the career, but obviously it shaped my career, is my dad kept a door open always for, listen, I need you to talk to me about everything. Tell me how was your day. Tell me if someone spoke to you sideways. And not just, because he's not interested in how they spoke to me, but he wants to know, how did you respond? What did you say? So in all of those things, my dad kept the communication channels so open and in guiding me in how to control the way I speak, emotions, how to think about life. My dad shaped me into thinking like in the future. I mean, before, in my first degree, I was in first year, my dad had already told me that first this year, your academic journey is ending with your master's, just by the way. So and I'm not saying it's advised, I'm just saying what was. He had a plan, but he also in the plan, it wasn't forced, there was room for failure. Failure was handled pretty well. Obviously there was a communicated pressure to perform, do well, parents want you to succeed. But my dad, honestly speaking, I'll say the main thing for any parent is he kept the communication channels so open to the extent that way he said, if you think I'm being too hard, or if I've said something that's hurt you, I need you to tell me. And those are conversations I could have with my dad. I could sit my dad down and say, Dad, I don't like what you said. And in fact, maybe I think I don't want to talk to you today. And that's probably a stretch. Maybe that's a stretch, but that's the relationship we have. And obviously, as a parent, he did also draw the line between disrespect and communicating how you're feeling. But the main thing was my dad just always wants the communications to be open, so that if I have challenges, I know I can run to dad and it's a safe space. I can fail and dad is a safe space. If dad goes wrong and I feel like dad, that hurt, I can tell him that. And being able to do that with a parent actually feeds into your socialization with other people. It makes you able to tell your boss that, hey, I didn't like how this went down. So it starts in the home, but it really translates to your social interactions. It makes up your social being.
Sure, that's very powerful. It's very powerful. And I think our viewers will learn a thing or two, because I always tell them that, I don't like confrontation at all. I don't like it. I'm sometimes forced into it. And it's kind of something that, because now you're leading a team, you have to confront issues, and I don't like it. And now you're leading, in other spaces, and you have to confront issues. But that's brilliant. Tell me now, you're in varsity. What's happening there? Just a quick run through. Varsity is obviously short in hindsight.
It feels longer in hindsight.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened?
It was longer in hindsight, but honestly, nothing terrible happened in varsity. I had a good time. I don't want to lie. I had a good time at university. My dad still kept the
academic
yes. Yeah. So whenever exams, they give you what is it called? They give it basically the timetable. The timetable. Ridiculous. When they roll those dates out, or at the beginning of the year, they give you that pack where it lines out your tests, your assignments, all those things. My dad required that for every single module, all of those get sent to him still. So he wants to know what's coming up, what test is coming up. As closer to the date, he's going to check, are you prepped? On the date, a ritual we used to always have. I went through 2 degrees and a third. Every single one of those exams, on exam day, Dad would ask that I stand outside the lecture room and he'd call and then he'd pray over the phone for every single exam throughout university.
That's a blessing.
Was insane. I passed in situations where I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And when I say, like, I've never failed a module at university throughout, but I don't attribute that to, like, I'm this intelligent person. There was situations where it doesn't make sense, where I would be like, look, I'm not going to query you guys. If you guys think I should pass, then okay. But again, it's my dad who fostered that. Him checking up on me, or maybe to one person could be seen as your parents being overly restrictive and whatever, but it was so character building because it had me be accountable for my work as well.
Sure.
Because at high school, we don't have that. High school, your parents are pushing you, they're forcing you to do homework. But at varsity level, I think he just did the training wheels thing. He eased me into it. It wasn't just varsity, now you're on your own. And I think that's where that dip happens now. Where you get to varsity in first year, maybe, and it's a common thing to be getting distinctions. A kid who got distinctions in matric gets into first year, and first year blows you away when those marks come out, and you don't even understand.
Why?
Right. But I think also there's a benefit. I mean, our parents went to university, which is a big factor. It's actually, I would categorize it as privilege.
Indeed.
For our parents, if you go to university to tell you something and some things about campus and what you can expect about campus life. So it's not just navigating the academia, but we have the benefit of parents who've been to campus, which is a privilege not afforded to many, obviously. So.
And you know, as you mentioned that, I remember my parents actually sitting me down at a restaurant before taking me to varsity. And the chat was, bro, this is what you're going to find. And these are the choices we can make. These are the choices that will lead down a terrible path. These are the choices that will lead down a good path. I was like, wow, that's impactful. And I hope more people have that out there.
I guess that's the hope, right? For I guess the progression of us as Black people in South Africa to be able to have parents who have gone through all the levels of academia, the NQFs, and they can guide you through even the failures of university. Because a lot of times as well, sometimes it's not that you don't understand the material at university, but you're struggling to just adjust to the environment of university. And to have a parent that you speak to and they get it is massive, because you can't, you'll have friends at university, but you can't really rely on each other for certain things, because you're all going through those things for the first time together. There's no one who knows better than the other. So to have a parent who says, with the conversation that this is what you're going to expect, that's an advantage. It's not outside, it's an advantage that's going to point to the success of your academia. To know that, okay, this low at university is normal. Sometimes to know that a circumstance that is negative is normal and not unique to you is massive.
I think while we're here, then you can speak to the challenges that students face in our country today. You and I know about the saturation of the economic activity, or the space where people need to find economic activity being very saturated. And the kind of depression that goes through a kid's mind or a young adult's mind when they're trying to find employment. In the legal profession, what are some of the things you saw yourself coming out of it, trying to find employment? Barriers to entry, people have more access than others. If your father owns a firm, things like that. Like, what do you think in that space?
So there's obviously a lot that I've seen, but I've seen it from a different perspective. My perspective, obviously I promise to be honest and candid.
Yes.
My perspective and knowledge on how those things have affected students comes from a position of privilege. So for all the things that went right for me, in the students that I mentored, I came to discover that, these are pitfalls? Wait, this is an issue? The first thing, I'll just speak to practical barriers to entering in. okay, in terms of university, I passed my modules fine, I did that.
Yeah.
At varsity, they do communicate. If you want to do well, your lecturers will tell you. If you want to do well, maintain an average of 65%. So that's not like a unique thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of now, like getting articles, back work, all of those things, I got those things. I applied, and I got multiple interviews, and I got my choice of a firm, and I picked, and I went. So then I started mentoring students, and I came to realize that, wait, there's actually so many things that I surpassed that are actually real challenges. The first one really, the first big one that the LPC has also tried to work with changing is for an application for maybe lab work or articles, most importantly, they would prefer a candidate who has a driver's license and their own vehicle.
Yes, tell us about that.
That's a very real thing, but it's a thing that didn't faze me at all because I got my, my dad made sure I got my learners the moment I turned whatever age it was for the learners. When I turned 18, I remember the week after I turned 18, I wrote my driver's test and I passed. My mom gave me her, there was a third card home, so I got her car, so I'm driving, so I drove myself in high school, because my birthday's in June, so I got from June onwards, I was driving myself to and from high school. So by the time, then I'm driving myself in university as well. So by the time I come to articles, like, it's not even, when I see the requirements that you need to have a driver's license and a car, that doesn't stand out to me as a, oh no, I've been driving for years, but there's students that obviously will not have a car at that age. There's no reasonable expectation that you should have a car at that stage of your life. There's no parent to either pass down a car or a parent to buy you a car.
And then the bank doesn't want to give you a loan either in advance, because on what guarantees?
And maybe they shouldn't. You're a kid, you're still starting out. You're taking out a loan for a vehicle at that age to get articles, which is not actually considered a job as of yet. It's really considered training. That's a massive undertaking, but those are things I took for granted that I didn't realize were real challenges. So it's the vehicle. Right now, I've heard that you need to come with your own laptop for articles.
We do. You have to come with your own laptop.
For articles, hey, I never knew that. I discovered I was on a different podcast, and the lady who was interviewing me told me that, and I was like, what? Because when I started, when I got to articles, I mean, we had all the laptops were laid out, so you had your name on it, it was set up for you. IT comes through and they set it up for you and they tell you how you. So now I'm like, huh? You must come with a functional laptop and have a car? It's requirements for a working person, but even working people, even working people get a laptop from the company. But for some reason, in this aspect, you need to come up with all of those things yourself. But that's just because firms also want to cut down on costs. They want to invest in the student. But those are things that I never had to say. If they had told me you have to come with your own laptop, even that wouldn't have been an issue for me. Because I already had a laptop. But I was able to see the pain of all of those obstacles from a privileged perspective, to see that, like, I didn't even know this was a challenge. And not just down to like material things. It's also within the black space, how you talk, your English, the twang, how do you sound when you're around a room, you know what I mean? So there's also self-esteem that I picked up on as well. That there are students that feel that because they speak a certain way, they don't twang. The vocabulary is strong, don't get me wrong. This is not an English issue. It's not an English issue, and it's not a law issue. This is a person who knows their law and their English perfectly, but they don't sound a particular way, and I know what I mean. There's the accent. They call it what? The comrade accent, they call it that, where somehow that accent is attributed to your intellect. But it wrongly so, but practically it's a real thing that impacts a student's confidence. And those students I've found apply to black-only firms. They actually don't apply, and I came across it again in interacting. They only apply to black-only firms, and I asked I was like, why are you doing that? And she told me, no, it's the way I talk. I know that in certain spaces I won't be able to, like, it's going to be weird if they hear how I talk.
Yeah.
Again, I've never had to consider how I talk and how I fit into certain spaces.
Yeah.
But those are it's material disadvantages, but also disadvantages as well that have to do with the self-esteem and how you come across, because you can be so solid and even better knowledgeable at law than the next person, but you feel like you don't fit or you can't get a seat at the table because you don't speak like this person. You don't sound corporate. That's a very real thing, and those are students that miss out on brilliant students that miss out on opportunities because of that self-esteem thing, the elitism, we have to call it out, the elitism in the legal field.
And you now also now being a woman, and at the time I think I came across a video of yours where you were married at this point, and you were with child. And you said that the Legal Practice Council didn't have a framework for dealing with maternity leave. Like, this is bizarre to me. Like, how now do you accommodate women in a space where they need to achieve legal training for them to be economically active and contribute to society meaningfully? And yet, the most natural process of all of human, like, why?
It was, I don't want to lie, it was the strangest thing over time. So when I did get married, we decided, okay, cool, I'm of a certain age, we want to start a family. So we started our family, and then at a certain point, I let the firm know. And I think the first thing, I guess, to realize for anyone who doesn't know is that when you're doing articles, it's really a contract between yourself and the Legal Practice Council. Yet there's a certain number of days you can't be out of office, or it's going to compromise your admission as an attorney when you're finished. So every single day is accounted for. Leave is not a thing. It's not a normal contract. So you can't be absent for a certain number of days. I could be wrong, but I think it's 90 consecutive. 90? No, I don't think it's 90. There's a number of, I've forgotten it. But there's those stipulations of how your articles. I will. Yeah, just check that. But no, I think it's 30 consecutive days. You can't be absent 30. You can't be absent from articles for 30 days in a row, or your admission will be compromised. They're going to have to add more time to that. There's penalties for that.
Yeah. So even right now, there's a girl where I work, right, the law firm, like she's under Sosita. Like you literally need to be jotted down every day what you've done as well. So if you the day you were sick, you must attach the sick note, and the principal was called the principal. The principal must then also say yes, she was sick from this day to this day.
You have to account for each day. 100%.
Yeah, every day.
100%. To add on, during COVID, because I started articles in 2020, COVID was 2020. So we had to be off work, obviously, because no one could move. But now the LPC didn't know what to do as well in there, so we also had to, the firm kept giving us like random emails just to make it look like the emails are still working, the number of days are not compromised. So the days thing is very strict, the regulations are very strict, it's not normal employment. So with the maternity leave now, I tell everybody at work, I'm pregnant and it's chilled. I'm thinking it's chilled, and I had someone come to me and say, hey, Ipeleng, I heard you're pregnant. It's like, what are you going to do? I'll never forget, what are you going to do? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I mean, it's just, you're pregnant, you're in articles, like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to take maternity leave and give birth and come back.
Normally?
So then when I now brushed it, my principal was amazing. So he was also like, what do we do? So he was great, but even he was like, geez, Ipeleng, really?
Why did you? Of all the times.
What must we do? So now, so we actually, we wrote to the LPC, this is in the Western Cape. We wrote and we asked them for guidance on how do we handle it, so then they came to a resolution. Also, you have to keep engaging with them, because anytime you want anything that compromises your days, you want the LPC to take note of. So then they came back to us and they said, okay, cool, they're going to pause my articles, because maternity leave was 4 months. I'm going to pause my articles and then I can come back. So I'm like, okay, so no more maternity leave then. This wasn't that hard.
Oh, why didn't you have a framework for this in the first place? Come on now. Beloved,
we know that you love watching our content here on Admin Port SA. And guess what? We enjoy delivering it to you. So why don't you take the time to subscribe? You can do it right now. And maybe share the video with somebody. And obviously like and comment. Please. We want to grow this channel. We want to grow it with you. So let's do it right now.
Maybe there was, maybe there is now, but I can tell you that a lot of the questions was just so much concern, like, what's going to happen to Ipeleng?
Sure.
And my principal was also like, yeah, I don't know, hey, let's go and ask. Let's go and ask.
And
so,
this now, sorry to cut you there, but this now speaks into the male dominatedness of the field, the historic part of it. You had a male white kind of dominance in it as well in the past. And so I think coming from that tradition, it kind of makes sense, to me at least.
where pregnancy is a phenomenon and there was women that can miss out on a job. You're not gonna go to an interview sitting like this with your baby. They're gonna be like, no, this is not gonna work.
But it should be celebrated.
This is not gonna work.
You're carrying life. Wow.
It's commercial, it's money, but yeah, that was interesting. But I left and I came back, and the world didn't crash.
Sure. No, that's beautiful. What's your advice to young women in the law space? How do they not lose their voice?
If I'm gonna challenge your premise.
Okay.
And obviously it's open to dispute. But I don't, just from what I've observed, I've worked in the company I was at, that was female dominated. And it could be that, well, I know that overseas firms, they do things differently. They, equity in the workplace and stuff like that is taken very seriously. They really do implement those things. So I think maybe because I was kind of exposed to a different tradition of law, because there are different traditions. In SA, traditional firms, the makeup of it and the culture looks different to, say, a firm in a different jurisdiction. But even from a traditional law perspective, where I did my articles, because obviously I did my articles with the law firm here, I honestly can't say that there is a unique or a particular challenge for women that is hindering you. I think there was a time when that was true. But I think as of right now, I don't believe it's true, and I don't think it's productive to hold on to that notion. I actually think it can impede your growth if you hold on to that, and any negative thing that happens, you attribute it to gender. Because there are things, you are going to get no's, you are going to get negative feedback on certain things. And at the very least, I don't think the first thought should be gender or race. It shouldn't be, this is happening because I'm black, this is happening because I'm a female. Sometimes, most of the time, it's legitimate criticism, and you wrote a terrible document.
So you don't believe there's systematic disenfranchisement in that regard, at least to the level that you're exposed?
Yes, so I'm limited to that, because obviously I haven't seen everything everywhere. But with the bit that I have seen, I mean, when I was sending articles with the number, there were at least maybe 7 or 8 directors. And where I was doing my articles, it's an Afrikaner law firm. And there were just as many female directors as there were male. I worked under 2 to 3 female directors, and then I worked under like 2 male directors. So there's also diversity in race and culture. So I can't say, I do think there's a race issue. There's definitely a race issue. But gender, I honestly, I would be misleading you in saying that, yes, there's something, I've seen it, this is what it is. I really don't think so. I think, from what I've seen, there's never been a better time to be a woman the opportunities are there. You just need to reach out, and if the feedback is negative, it's probably not because you're a female. It's probably because you don't make the cut.
Okay.
And I think that's a hard pill to swallow. Sometimes you need to bite the bullet and say I didn't make the cut.
And that's a fair assessment, I believe. Yeah, and I hope y'all don't come for us for this, please.
You can come for me.
Sure. So then segueing into that, you say you're in the commercial space, right? So there's been this whole, should we scrap BBBEE, should we keep it, should we not? What are your thoughts around it? Let me start there, because I think it's in your territory somehow. I won't hold it for you. I'll just allow you to express it there.
It's not entirely in my territory, but I do have a view on it. My view is not on a particular side. My view is more questioning. I think BBBEE works as a theoretical concept.
Right.
I think on paper it is fantastic. I think it's well put together and well drafted as an idea, as an ideal.
Yes.
I think it's an ideal. Obviously, it's implemented for a long time now, but I still think it remains an ideal at implementation level. It's either not happening or it's happening, but it's being exploited, which defeats the purpose for which it was created.
Okay.
I think my main challenge with BBBEE is that there obviously is evidence of, dare I say, black corporates misusing the intention of what BBBEE is supposed to be about to the disadvantage of those that need to come in or would otherwise have been given access to certain opportunities because of BBBEE. And I think it's a good idea, but I think it's confounded by corruption and it's messed up because of those things. So at the same time, I think it's a great ideal because it's not working.
Yeah, I see that. And for those who don't know, if you're watching from abroad, it is BBBEE or triple BBBEE now. It's called Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment. So that's just a policy measure that the government tried to enact to ensure the empowerment of black corporates or black individuals in business to kind of uplift the economy in that space after the tragic past of what we know now as apartheid. But it's okay. I think we kind of have an interesting time here. In this country, we're seeing a lot of movement, right? So there's some progressivity in law that's kind of happening. I just want your thoughts around where you feature between the morality of law. What is the morality in law? And the legality of just, let's deal with the legal. Do away with the moral, deal with the legal. Where have we moved? Because I think in times past, our basis for law came from a moral place. Most of it, right? Because most of the law is based on morals. Somewhere, somehow, there's been a shift. This is just my layman's view. There's been a shift towards secularism in society, and so the secularism then brought out further permutations and created just, you know what, legally this is okay. I don't have to worry about the moral side, but where do you stand on that?
Can you give me an example?
Okay, so this is going to be a very, very vivid example. Okay, so tacit consent. There's a term in your legal field called tacit consent, and I know I'm tapping into litigation and kind of that other side of law that you probably don't do much of.
No, tacit consent, it goes in, but it fits in commercial in
that,
as well. You didn't necessarily say it, but it's there.
Sure.
It's implemented differently depending on where you are. So I just want to check what's the context, what's the... Yeah.
So I'm going to give a very vivid example. So you have a situation where somebody says, look, and this might be religious as well. Somebody says, for religious reasons, you as my partner, I don't want you to engage with me in that way, right? This was just a pre-statement, like before entering the relationship. You say, look, I don't want this until marriage. Sure. Then situations happen, one thing leads to another situation, and somebody is in a compromised position, and the event of whatever that was happened to be tacit consent, eventually leading to something that the person initially did not want.
Are we talking about a sexual experience?
Yes.
So someone didn't consent to a sexual activity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And obviously trying to be euphemist here. But in that case, what the law looks at is whether or not legally the person's rights were infringed upon. They don't look at whether or not morally the person's moral standpoint was infringed upon, which they are also complicit in by kind of allowing themselves to be in a compromised position based on the previous conversation they had. And it becomes dicey when a ruling comes out that, look, legally, no one is, or should we say the perceived perpetrator is not in fact doing something illegal or hasn't done something illegal. They might have contravened something moral, but that's not for a circular court to decide. That's something for the church board, if I can put it like that, to decide. Another simple example, cheating on a partner. This is just a social example.
Yeah.
Cheating on a partner could be considered morally reprehensible, but legally, there's absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, we've seen just recently cases on that, which we don't want to mention here. But I just want to, because it's been bothering me about that. Our legal system does not want to have a framework or a standpoint on morality, which is fine also because we don't want to infringe on the rights of people having their own conscience, their own convictions religiously. So I just want your views on, does that affect you in your day-to-day work? How your morality interplays with your legality? Because sometimes something can be legally good, but morally reprehensible, even in business.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I hear you, good question.
Yeah.
What I'll say, I guess in starting out, I don't think there's a distinction. So we're guided by ethics in the legal field. We're held to ethical standards when we swear in an oath. Everything that we're doing in our job, how we engage with any kind of work, it must be ethical. So ethics are informed by morals, which then informs the law. So the law is, it's not as abstract as obviously the law as encapsulated and documented it comes from people, it comes from us. We came together and we decided that we are not okay with this. So that's what they call the legal convictions of the community. So the community came together and said, murder is terrible. Do we agree? Yes. It just so happens that murder is also morally reprehensible. It's in the Bible. Just so happens. So we don't take issue. But there are obviously things that are immoral but legal. The way I do it in my day-to-day is you don't have to divorce the two, and maybe that's just because maybe I'm brainwashed in my own field. Maybe I'm brainwashed in my own field, but I will admit that when I do hear a matter where it would be easy for a person to assume a certain standpoint and assume the guilt of this partner because this gender is known to do this. So we assume that it's likely that this did happen. But we're also, and I think there's an underrepresentation of situations where it's in fact not true. We kind of have a hard time grappling with the fact that the other gender can actually fabricate a story about something so sensitive to women, a sexual encounter, that can be fabricated
Yeah.
to blackmail and whatever the case is. I've dealt with that.
Sure.
So, but in the day-to-day, I will be honest and say that when I do encounter a matter with people, because normally I try to move for matters with individuals because it gets personal, there's emotions and stuff. With contracts, it's just clauses, it's business, it's deals.
Sure.
But with people, I'll hear a situation, a version of events, and as I'm hearing it, my mind is filtering not the emotions, the morality. My mind is filtering, is that a legal ground? No, not a legal ground. No, not a legal ground. So as you're talking, I'm just like, no, no, yes,
Okay.
no. So that's, and the yes, no is this the legal ground? Can you pursue this? So obviously with adultery, I think that was a really good example that you gave with adultery.
Yeah.
Adultery used to be illegal
Really?
in South Africa.
In some countries it still is, actually. I think there's a thing of Singapore, some law, but I'll check it later. Don't worry about it. Anyway, yeah.
That is crazy to enforce.
I don't know how you can enforce it.
That's the influx of prisoners. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't work. But in SA, adultery used to be illegal. In family law, space, it actually used to be illegal. There's actually a historical background on that. So we moved from that. It's no longer illegal. It's a moral issue between you and your spouse.
And your God, perhaps.
And your God and yourself. But also intimate partner violence. Your husband hitting you.
Yeah.
That used to not be illegal. But now we recognize intimate partner violence. Back in the day, it was impossible to allege that your husband raped you when you were married. That didn't make sense. And that was a moral perspective being put in there where it's, a cop would tell you that, okay, well, the Bible says that your body belongs to your husband, so he can't rape you.
Yeah.
It's impossible to allege rape. It doesn't happen. Yes. When you get married, you forego consent. So there's no rape here. But we've moved from that now, and we've recognized that there's intimate partner things. Consent exists in other spaces as well. So.
Sure. That's interesting. I think it's a difficult one because at the same time there's the law progressing in terms of dealing with matters that previously were not dealt with. And then there's also it becoming a version of, I guess, complicit in the secular law that it exists in.
Do you know what? I actually think that functions, and again, maybe I'm a victim of the brainwashing, but I wholeheartedly believe that I think the way in which it's approached and the way in which we approach even those matters is for the protection of a person's constitutional rights. Because the worst thing you want to have is for someone to go to prison and they're not guilty, in fact not guilty. So in the burden of proof and in the requirements to prove a certain thing, you do have to take, and I think morals, honestly I find morals and emotions and feelings to be kind of synonymous. Just because it's unfair and doesn't feel right and is uncomfortable doesn't mean it's legally reprehensible. And I think if we're going to put people away because you felt uncomfortable, I don't think any of us would be, I for one would be serving a couple of lifetimes. For sure. I'm not getting out. So I think it's for the equal protection of even the accused.
Yes.
That the person bringing this forward, you need to have something, show me the evidence. And that's because we're not mind readers. It's for a practical reason. The practical reason is we cannot read the victim's mind or the perpetrator's mind to attribute blame and guilt. So I need you to bring me evidence and show me that this is in fact what happened. And it's unfortunate that a situation can happen and there's no evidence for it. But the rule still dictates then that there's no case. Even though in fact it happened. But then, you consider the alternative then what do we do about it? Can we put you away and we absolutely lower the standard of proof, the burden? That just means a whole lot more people will be going to prison for things that otherwise they wouldn't have. And there are situations of of genuine, mistakes.
Yeah.
Consent being one. Consent is actually a very tricky one because throughout one interaction, consent can be given and retracted, given, retracted, given, retracted.
Very true.
And I don't know about you, but I also would find it difficult putting myself in maybe an accused shoes in reading someone's mind maybe and your body language the entire time.
Expressions or whatever.
Because I mean, if we're being frank, it is probably if you foreplay. Biologically your body is doing different things.
Yes.
You're not observant. You're not like on your toes or anything.
Yeah.
You're geared towards whatever's happening right now.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't expressly say, listen, I don't want to do this anymore. Absent that, you're fully relying on having to pick up on certain gestures to be like, do we still have consent? Do we still have consent? But then you also can admit that it might kill the mood to keep asking, do we still have consent? Do we still have consent? So just those nuances, I think the way in which we do it right now, I think it's just for maximum protection to make sure that, innocent people don't go to prison. But it is true that guilty people do walk away.
Yeah,
because of the very same rule.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just, there's no perfect system. You just do the best you can. What's the best possible outcome is really the thing. There's no perfect outcome.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because it's a game of odds. I remember reading Barack Obama's book, Making Decisions. It just looks at 51%. And if it's above 51, then let's make the decision. Yeah, but that's nice that you mentioned that. Now talk to us a little bit about business as we close. How are you finding business? Now you are in business and you also work with businesses. What are some of the stuff that you do and maybe see as potential areas of growth for small medium enterprises and things like that? What are some of the things that legally they are missing out on? Compliance issues, maybe things like that. I don't know what our situation is here in terms of compliance in the country. Maybe talk to some of those issues. What do people come to you for?
Sure. So the main thing, which is obviously with commercial being my passion.
Yeah.
When a company approaches, it's a company or it'll be individuals. A company will come in and say, listen, we've got a transaction that we want to undergo, whatever the case is, but before we hand over certain information, we need an NDA.
Yeah.
Can you help us draft an NDA? Or listen, I'm starting a company. I need someone to handle, because for every single move anyone makes, even in business, there needs to be an underlying contract.
Yeah.
For every single thing, there needs to be something. You need to have someone identify, possible liability gaps and stuff like that. So that then becomes my function. Throughout helping a company, just on retainer, and every time something comes up like, hey, there's a deal, whatever the case is, or hey, I'm looking into this, what do you think?
Yeah.
That's when I'll say, listen, bad call,
Yeah.
or I'll look at the deal, I'm like, no, bad call, we don't want this is not, legal just advises, I don't make decisions for you.
Okay.
So we do what's called a risk review, and I do an analysis and I give you the risks. So that's what I do for businesses, but even for private persons, which I'm trying to really push, but people are getting there with this having contracts, even between friends.
Yeah.
I've gotten so many calls of me and my friend went into an undertaking.
Yeah.
Obviously there's no contract, it was, chill me, you're gonna do this, I'll do this.
We'll split over vacation 50-50.
Chili doesn't come through.
Yeah.
Then now you're putting out your case on social media to get Chili to pay up. Those are not the channels.
Yeah.
So private persons are now increasingly seeing the value of engaging with an attorney to get an agreement in place to regulate even intimate relationships, because previously they used to go into Google and download the documents on Google. So whenever our client comes to me and there's an issue with breach and they don't know what's going to happen, I'm like, send me the contract, I need to read what you're bound to. And I read it and I can tell it's a Google contract. And the gaps are wide.
Yeah.
And I have to tell my client, look, this is a terrible contract. It's a Google contract, isn't it? So that's why, and I know it's not cheap, we're not cheap for contracts. it's not cheap, but it's such a lifetime investment, honestly. It protects you fully because that's the whole intention. The plan is to look into the future of what you could face, and I throw in all those clauses, and they're unique to the situation. So with the intimate relationships, even with friends, family, those are the big ones. Family businesses are actually the most problematic. But people do come forward and say, my friend and I want to do this, but I want to make sure. But I will say that an area that I've seen is very difficult is family businesses.
Sure.
And obviously, I guess it maybe feels unnatural to have a contract between you and your dad.
Yeah.
But when those agreements fall out of place, when there's a dispute, those actually tend to be the most violent disputes.
True.
Those are actually the worst ones.
Sure.
And when I go into those, I usually start with a negotiation. I usually want to come in with the parties to get everybody to calm down and all those things. But so the commercials, I don't even know if I answered the question.
No, this is nice.
Okay.
What you've done is paint the picture.
Okay, sorry. It's just there's just a lot of things coming to mind.
Yeah.
But also going back to what you asked me in the beginning with the business.
Yeah.
In starting out at the most difficult part is, first of all, identifying your niche. What do you want to work on? Do you have the capacity for it? But then also you need to attract those clients. And I wanted to stay in commercial. I want to stay in commercial. I don't want to find myself doing certain matters. So I don't do RAF matters.
Even though in your articles you did.
Yes, even though I did in my articles, and that's why I don't do RAF matters.
Yeah.
I saw too much.
We all know why.
I saw too much.
Yeah.
So I don't do RAF matters and I don't do criminal matters.
Okay.
So those are decisions then to make, and obviously that's an exclusion of clients from the onset. It's a client phoning in and saying, hey, and I'm like, this sounds like a criminal matter, is it RAF? Sorry, I can't help you.
Sure.
So it's difficult to have a niche, but also attract clients in that niche to get them to come into that niche. That was the difficulty I faced. And so in the beginning, I started out taking on matters that I wouldn't ordinarily take on. I took on an eviction matter, and I'll be honest and say that matter traumatized me. That matter traumatized me. We did an eviction, the community came out. I had the security personnel around me, but
Shout out.
shut up. No, you have to have security.
Oh.
You have to have security. So we started out with SAPs on standby. It was taking long, so SAPs just, they dipped, which was fine. But the security team was there. But security is telling me, listen, hey, head of security says, listen, you need to get into quarantine now. And I insist, first of all, I was told not to be on site for eviction matters. Don't be on site, it's high risk. But because the balance with the morality and all of these things, I know that with evictions, sometimes these companies can get rough and people's properties can be stripped. People throw things on the floor. I don't want that on my name because that's not who I am. I'm going to remove you from your house legally and with dignity. I'm going to put it together properly. I'm going to make sure the team handles your stuff with care. The curtains come down properly and they're not torn. That's detail. So I wanted to be on site so that if anything happens, I can say I was there and I can attest for this. But I wasn't supposed to be there, but I insisted. And so when security tells me now the community, everybody is now seeing a commotion. People are coming from the other side of the street, they're coming with weapons, people are phoning each other, they're telling me it's go time. I'm not listening because the people I'm evicting, the mom is crying. So I'm in a legal situation now where I need to leave my safety at risk now, but I'm not even seeing it because there's this lady, this lady's crying. And I got caught up in my feelings. I'm trying to calm her down and I'm trying to reassure her, listen, I'm going to make sure that you have a place to go today. I'm not going to leave you on the street. But as I'm having this chat, security's like, listen, you're talking way too much right now. You need to. By the time I ran to the car, my vehicle was breached. I got into the car, the doors flew open. People were getting into the car and trying to pull me out. So security managed to get them off and they're kicking in the car. I hit, eventually the car's beeping, the sensors. So eventually I'm locked in the car, which is great, but they're kicking in the car, they're banging on the bonnet and the windows. But by God's grace, saw a little bit of a break in the camera of the front car, turned the tires that way, and I sped through with my life. But and I'll be honest, I cried, shaking on the way home. Because in the commotion, it was don't let her leave, don't let her leave, take her photo, take the number plates. Obviously, I've got nothing to hide, so I don't mind those things. But it was, follow her, go take down the number plates, take all of these down. So I'm speeding and I'm looking around and I'm scared. Are there going to be bullets flying? I cried the drive home and I was shaking. It was terrible.
And this husband and child waiting at home or wherever they're waiting.
Honestly, that's why, yeah. So then my dad was like, can you please stop doing funny things? My dad went to the vet and he was like, why were you there? Did they tell you immediately to be there? And I was like, no, Dad. And he's like, so you were doing what? So then, and he does still tell me that, listen, you can't be doing this. You need to focus. So I learned from that, and I don't do those. I learned that, nope, I can't handle those kinds of matters. This is my strength, I'm playing to my strengths. So by the grace of God, I am getting more commercial matters now, things that I know that keep me in the house, the safety behind my desk. Because, since starting out, and I do have friends as well who started firms, who had to also then start with bail applications, criminal matters. Those don't run out. Those don't run out. So to keep the doors open initially and to launch, because it's pricey to start out, to be honest. They'll take on matters that they don't want to take on, and you'll tell yourself, I'm just doing this for a bit. It's not for too long, and they get traumatized in some way. In a criminal matter, I've got a friend who walked out during court and just said, "Magistrate, I'm sorry. Client, I'm sorry. I can't do this. Bye." So it's difficult to narrow down when you're starting out because you need to keep the doors open. To say no to clients is a difficult thing. To play to your strength and to keep to your strength until that grows is also a difficult thing. But that's where it started.
Sure, that's an incredible story, actually. And I think as you were speaking, I was identifying that at some point, this is no longer a job for you. Because as soon as it gets to that level, I think you feel this is a calling, essentially. Because, to feel at that level, if it was just a job, I've done my part, get away, move out with that. But I think it's also the element of you being a Christian woman and having faith drive your business in a way through you. Maybe tell us a little bit about that as we now wrap up, because these guys now, they're busy changing their shoes.
Sorry, I don't think I'm talking a lot.
No, you're perfect.
But I think I guess the first thing is just that in the way I handle my matters with the sensitivity, with the counterparty, that's something that is an expectation. That's an expectation placed on us as attorneys or legal practitioners in the field and how we should deal with people. What you see with attorneys being horrible and vile, that's not how we're supposed to behave. And those of us that do see that, we call that out. That's not the norm. So what I'm doing is not unique and it's not special. That's actually the standard. That's the norm. But obviously, in Christianity and in my personal faith, obviously that they don't necessarily come together, but in the sense of going into a certain transaction, I obviously pray for wisdom, I pray for safety, I pray because clients aren't always safe, even the ones that are commercial. Clients can bring you into a matter and they don't disclose certain things. A client that doesn't fully disclose puts me at risk. I've had to withdraw a client because I found out that there were actually underlying things that could compromise my name here. And you, at that point, you terminate mandates immediately. So obviously, there's in terms of my Christianity, there are just certain cases or certain scenarios that I would prefer not to take on. A client I would prefer not to assist because I don't like the circumstances of what's happened here. And that's not to say that that person doesn't have a right to a defense. They do, which is why they're looking for an attorney. I'm just not the one, and I've identified that I won't be able to represent you to the best of my ability if I don't fully believe, because it's not just all law, there's humanity in what we do. If I'm not fully in your corner, I'm not going to do my job 110%. So that's where I guess your faith, my faith comes in those situations where I can't represent you to the best of my abilities if I don't agree with what's going on here.
Sure. Ipeleng, thank you so much. This has been eye-opening for most of us. Some of us here busy trying to start enterprises. Yes, Nani.
I have a question before you close, right? As an attorney who's married in community, right? Because we had this conversation. The last time we had this conversation. What would you advise the gents, actually all of us, when you get married in community without?
Advise me.
Advise him. He's on the road, so between the three, because with the crew or without the crew or community, which one should he go for? Don't be biased because
I
you're.
must tell them also what I expect for myself.
Yes.
I'm going to be in business eventually.
Yes.
That's my next question. Yeah. So first of all, first thing, the regimes, the three regimes. Right? It's not a romantic concept. let's throw the romanticism, and I know it's also been tied to Christianity in some aspects. That you need to be married in community to be one. Yes. If you're not married in community, then are you really one? Are you really one? Are you planning for your divorce? That's a common one. You're already planning for an exit.
You don't trust me.
You don't trust me.
You have my money.
Yes.
You think I'm here for your money?
Yeah.
So the first thing is that there needs to be a recognition that these regimes are not a romantic concept. It's a risk management decision.
Yes.
It's a decision to be made in premarital counseling. You need to understand the regimes and make a decision. And understanding means, do you want to open a company one day? What does it mean if you open a company and you go down? So maybe let's do it out of community. Not because you don't love each other, but because risk management, right? You want to protect the family. If maybe your business goes down, then I can keep us going. So those are the discussions. It's a practical decision on how we're going to run our household and our finances. It's not a love thing. Honestly, arguably, the worst partners are the ones in community. The couples with antenuptial agreements, they really haven't. Those ones really have discussed the nuances of the relationship compared to those in community. So, which one would I advise? I actually don't advocate, and that's my job. I don't advocate for a particular regime. My job is to inform you on the regimes, and then I ask you about your personal circumstances, and then I do a risk assessment on, okay, if you're looking to do this with this regime, this and this and this and this could be a consequence of that. Are you okay with that consequence? Okay, cool. You're doing this, whatever the case is. So, discuss the regime, and then we discuss you as a couple. And then we just tailor to see what you guys negotiated with the information I've given you, and you make an informed decision based on your circumstances. And that's really what there's no. I mean, I've heard that like, oh my God, you're an attorney and you're in community. Did you make your degree? Like, did you create? Where did you get your degree? Like, are you crazy?
You know the stereotype, right?
The stereotype, yeah.
Because it's like, how, bro, how? But no, I think I hear you. And also, to your credit, even with the income contract, right? There are situations that allow that contract to be successful for the married couple, precisely because of the conversation we are going to have. I mean, it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all, and I appreciate that you give people all the options and assess their individual risks, and then they can make a decision from that. So I've also assessed my risks, and I know that I am high liability, very high liability. But I think it's a conversation that, at least for now,
willing to accept what?
That we can draft an out of commutual
Okay. I thought you were saying you're willing to, you're gonna compromise and force yourself in community. I was like, no.
I mean, at this point, you have a guy who has an investment property somewhere. So conversation should be chatting with the camera. But anyway, I mean, there's those things where I have those investment, leanings, and also here there's all of this going on. And then there's other things in the background that might, come up where one time is right.
Yeah.
You have things like venture capital funding that might come in, and now you're using other people's money to do business, and now things get very tricky there because now if you fail, so
Stakes are high. Yeah.
stakes are high. But I think the road is yes.
Always does. Always does.
Now I think we can go into the sponsorship. Guys, if you've reached this part of the podcast, I'd like you to subscribe. Because your subscription helps us to grow more and to bring more and more fantastic people like Ipeleng. What do you have to say for us?
I would like to push for more than a subscription.
There we go.
Can I
Yeah.
urge your followers to maybe do more than click subscribe? I feel like there's more to be done for this venture. Obviously, I don't think you guys can't see the beauty that is here, the beauty that is this team. So, I mean, if there is anyone, if you can sponsor, even for a time, obviously when people hear sponsorship, you're thinking you're bound for 10 years to help someone. So you can sponsor for a month, you can sponsor for 2 months. Not just, if it's not money, if not in money, money is welcome.
Yeah.
If not in money, then in resources, in expertise. I did want to say, if you guys have contracts and stuff like that, I can have a look at those and do those pro bono. So just, if in money, expertise, please do more than subscribe, like, and comment. Can we action it? And they wait to hear from you. We'll be waiting to hear from you with contributions.
And as you heard, my God has spoken. Alright, thanks everybody. We've come to the end of the podcast. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.